This is my first video blog out of my 2 video blogs for my pantomime blogs. The way I'm going to be actually doing my pantomime blogs is I am going to be discussing the creative and rehearsing process within the first video blog. And in the second one I'm going to be discussing how we fitted our piece within the show. I'm also going to be answering questions, so I'm going to be referring to this piece of paper with the questions on. These are going to be general questions about how the rehearsal went and how the piece is going. Okay, so when we started actually creating our dance piece for the pantomime Hans and Gretel, we found out our song was It's Oh So Quiet, which is quite a jazzy song, and it's quite a beaty song and then quite mellow at different points. So this was quite hard to figure out how the piece was going to actually turn out. During the creative process, Rachel decided that we were all going to be animals in the woods, so she made us pick an animal. I picked a squirrel, so I'd done some research on how a squirrel might move, and squirrels are obviously known for playing with nuts and like climbing trees, so I got into the stereotypical character of a squirrel that would just, eat nuts. And then it took a different direction, that we'd have plants, animals, flowers in the piece. So then I ended up becoming a daisy, which a daisy is my favourite flower, so I wasn't too disappointed about this. And this made the piece different actually, because then I could create a different character and I could be more showy and instead of trying to fit the stereotypicals of a squirrel. Okay, so what is my session target? My session target didn't really change much for each session, because I wanted to refine my technique, which I do struggle with applying technique to any session because I get carried away and focus on facials. So my session target for most sessions was to refine technique, really push myself, because I tend to get lazy and just go to where I usually go, but then I'm not improving. So what have I worked on? In the piece there was quite a lot of turns, pirouettes, so I really had to engage my core, spot, pull up, and really work on my technique, because I'd had the tendency when the foot was in retire to not actually keep my foot close to my knee. It would come away, so I really had to concentrate on this, and this links back to my session target by working on technique. How it's developed, well, at the start of the piece I couldn't really do a neat pirouette, and by the end of the piece I was able to do a proper pirouette, executed technically and with performance. Evidence of trial and error, so a lot. The piece is so unbelievably technical, it's unreal. A lot of it was trial and error, so we'd try something and then we figure it was too technical for us to actually complete, so we simplified it or got ourselves around it by changing the movement. What have I learnt? I have learnt that as soon as an audience is put in front of me, all my technique goes out the window. So when, for example, we performed the piece in front of the actors, and we performed it in the theatre for the first time, I did make quite a lot of mistakes as I was trying to perform to the audience, which is good, but the technique just went out of the window and I did unfortunately make a lot of mistakes. But that was possibly because we did perform in the space for the first time, so an unfamiliar space, and we're performing in front of an audience because we'd not done it before. Independent research, so my independent research would be into the song, It's Oh So Quiet, and into characteristics of a daisy, of a squirrel. So I actually looked at the song because there was possibilities that I was going to be singing the song, so I learnt the song and noticed that it had quite a mellow start and then dramatic and then mellow and dramatic, and it would vary in its climaxes in places. But it was very jazzy, and it was a song that just made me want to smile all the way through. And then daisies are quite dainty, so I'd have to be quite dainty, but then I wanted to be a sassy flower because a flower isn't a ballerina, which there was a lot of elements of ballet in the piece, so this makes sense, linking the attitude of the daisy not being able to do ballet to the actual piece being of ballet movements. How has this influenced the work? Well, like I said, a flower isn't something that is linked with dancing or ballet, so this was quite funny to have the quite a stubborn flower. Details of development. I have developed a lot within my turns, as I can execute a turn like I mentioned before, and with my stamina in the piece, it's quite it's a very demanding piece for me, because I do find it difficult to be technical, as I just get carried away and overexcited a lot of the times. And I developed where we had to add in our own material, as I used to be quite a person that would really think about movement and think it has to be this, it has to be that, it has to be really flashy, but now I'm quite able to choreograph really quickly. So this was a development point for me, as we did get homework tasks to create a small section of the piece to fill up the piece and have it as a group piece that was created by us. So I really enjoyed creating my section, because this helped me to make fast choreography. How have I developed technically? I've developed technically with my movement memory, by remembering the movements quickly and helping others by doing that. I have developed within my changements, which is a jump, as I'm pulling my feet and I'm pointing my toes and really working my feet within the piece. Keywords that I've learned and what do they mean? Well, I already know the keywords, so technique is crucial within this piece, as it if you go wrong, it's obvious that you've gone wrong. Technique to me means dedication, rehearsal, practice. It means knowing it until you can't, rehearsing until you can't get it wrong. So that's what technique meant to me, and then I applied it to the piece as I've rehearsed it until I could not get it wrong. Reflect on attendance. I was in every session. I never missed a session, so I was always punctual and there within the session. I was professional. I did my homework tasks. I helped choreograph. I responded with the choreographer, which was Rachel, and I took on feedback to make the choreography technically correct when she corrected me and said I was doing something wrong. I was professional about my feedback when she told me I was doing something wrong. My attitude was positive and I wanted to just get the piece finished so that we could really tear it apart with rehearsing. I worked well in a group. I bounce off other people and other people bounce off me, I'd like to say. My focus is very good when I work together with people or on myself. My commitment was 110%, I'd like to say, or 100% out of 100%. Because I was professional, I was there every single session, I was punctual, I had the correct attire, I did my homework tasks, I did everything that was possibly required. I didn't mess around or anything like that. Reflect on feedback. So I got feedback that my turns were a little weak to begin with, so then this made me go away and rehearse this. And then I wasn't mentioned when any weak turns were happening, so I was really proud about this. This created a different sense of accomplishment for me. Because to be able to not have your name mentioned when something's not technically done wrong is possibly like one of the most satisfying things ever, because it just shows that your rehearsal is paying off. And it's the self-satisfaction that you can do that movement and that you can actually help someone, knowing that you can show them where they're going wrong. So it's helping yourself to help someone else, really. Peer feedback would be that I responded well with other people and other people responded well with me. 3 strengths. I was I was committed in every single session, so I gave 100%. I never complained about the movements or any other movements that were put within the piece. I never complained about, I'd say I never complained that a movement was too difficult. I just got on with it and rehearsed it. And another strength would be that I did try my hardest and I did push myself within this piece because I wanted it to be brilliant. 3 weaknesses were that I did struggle with some of the movements to begin with, but I think everyone does. And I did correct this by rehearsing. Another weakness was that sometimes I would get a little bit lazy and not give... No, sometimes I would get a little bit lazy because other people weren't giving the full effort. And another weakness would be that when I really performed with my facials, my technique would slip a little. 3 targets would be that I need to practice going full out more with facials and technique. I really need to keep on top of outside classes because this will help me within the future. And another target would be to continue in pushing myself to the full abilities that I can, so that I don't get lazy or sloppy. I think I've just repeated myself actually, so I'll just give another target. Another target would be to encourage others more, so that they don't get disheartened when they can't get a movement, because I know what it's to be like in their situation, so to be more supportive. And that concludes this first blog.